Hey guys, this is Dave from TZR here, and with the impending launch of Horizon Zero Dawn next week, I decided it'd be fun to go back and have a look at developer Guerrilla Games' previous release, Killzone Shadowfall. Take it off the shelf if you will. Also, I don't believe TZR ever did a review for this game, or if they did, it was lost when we upgraded the website, so consider this my sort of retrospective review of the game as well, so to speak. For those of you that are unaware, Killzone Shadowfall was a launch title for the PlayStation 4 and is the fourth mainline entry in the Killzone series. It started way back in 2004 with the release of the original Killzone on PlayStation 2. While the original game did not review well, its popularity led to the creation of a sequel, Killzone 2, which got the series off the ground in earnest. Killzone Shadowfall is set 20 years after the events of Killzone 3, which ended up in the destruction of the world of the series' antagonists, the Helghast. A lot of the Helgen people survived the destruction of the planet, however, and decided to accept a peace offer from the ISA, the government of the protagonists from the series. The Helgens are given half of planet Vecta as reparations for their destroyed homeworld, and Helgen ships can be seen hovering over planet Vecta in the intro cinematic for the game. Unfortunately, the first real stumble of Killzone Shadowfall happens directly after this in the prologue mission, and it's from a narrative perspective. You play as a young Lucas Kellen, as you and your father attempt to escape Helgen-controlled territory on planet Vecta. So first things first, why didn't the Vectan government evacuate its citizens before letting the Helghast land? That makes absolutely no sense, and I feel like this was just done so we could get that scene of Kellen's dad being killed by the Helghast to give the player something to get fired up about. This could have been an easy fix. We'll see later in the game that some factions within the Helghast resort to terrorist attacks to further their agenda. Why not just have Kellen's dad die in a terrorist attack on the Vectan side of the wall? That would actually go a long way to make the Vectans look a little bit more competent, but instead they just decided to let the Helgens land on their side of the planet with the Vectan people still occupying it and just hope their people would make it across the wall safely. There is a throwaway line in the beginning that explains that the Helghast were supposed to guarantee safe passage for the people on their side of the wall. Oh, you mean the Helghast who, the minute they touched down on enemy soil in Killzone 1, began shooting unarmed civilians? Or the Helghast in Killzone 3 who, during a ceasefire, crafted a doomsday weapon to fire at Earth? Those guys are definitely trustworthy with the lives of your people, totally. So the actual story takes place 20 years after with Lucas Kellen, after the Helghast killed his dad, and we see him doing various Black Ops type missions for the VSA, which is the Army of Vecta. Now, I won't say anything more about the story here because I want to give some of you PS4 late adopters a chance to play this game. Killzone Shadowfall, while flawed, is a great game to play and is super cheap to pick up nowadays. I got mine used for just $10, more than worth it for the campaign alone. The gameplay of Killzone Shadowfall is pretty tight and fun, although it does wade into gimmick territory unfortunately due to it being an exclusive launch title. Guerrilla does navigate this very well though, opting to use the touchpad as a means of control for your little robot pal, Owl. Owl, if instructed, can shoot bullets at or stun enemies or shoot this cool zipline for easier map traversal. While clearly included at the behest of Sony, it does make the game more fun, which is all we can really hope for with gimmicks nowadays. At its core, Guerrilla delivers what it always delivers, and that is a great first-person shooter. The only thing that kind of bothers me about this game is what seems to be a loss of frame rate. This could be just me misremembering something, but I seem to remember Killzone Shadowfall running at a stable 60 frames per second, and now it doesn't seem to do that. I'd have to do a frame rate test to know for sure, but it just seems that way for me. Otherwise, my only other complaint is that sometimes objectives aren't always super clear. For example, in the middle of the first mission, you're instructed to go to the communications tower. The game, up until this point, always gave you a nav point to follow, but for this specific objective, you're not given one. Granted, this is because you had already been in said communications tower for a different objective, but nothing in the game goes out of the way to call that building the communications tower, so you end up wandering around for a few minutes until you realize you have to go back to that building. Small gripe, but enough to bring up. Another thing that stands out for me is how well this game has aged in the looks department. This game came out almost 4 years ago, and it still looks better than a lot of the games that are releasing today. The environments are all super detailed and immersive. You see a place like Vecta City, and you legitimately want to go walk around there. You see a place like the lower levels of New Helgen, and you immediately feel like you need to get out of there. It's this attention to detail that makes me so excited to try an RPG from these guys. Horizon Zero Dawn looks to be the game that lets me explore these awesome worlds that Guerrilla is capable of creating. Killzone Shadowfall also has a multiplayer mode that served as a pretty good alternative to Call of Duty Ghosts at launch, but has not likely survived through games like Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Battlefield 1, and Titanfall 2. I say most likely because I do not currently have an active PlayStation Plus account, so I wasn't able to check out the multiplayer and I wasn't able to get any footage captured. But the last post I could find regarding Killzone Shadowfall's multiplayer was a year ago, so it's pretty safe to say that there's not a lot of people playing this game anymore. The multiplayer, like the campaign, was held up by its great combat mechanics and awesome visuals. Fun fact, a lawsuit was actually filed against Sony because in order to maintain a consistent frame rate in the multiplayer, they had to downgrade the resolution of the multiplayer to 900p instead of the 1080p from the campaign, and were charged with false advertising, with the plaintiff seeking $5 million in damages. The lawsuit was ultimately dismissed with prejudice, meaning that the plaintiff could no longer file for that same issue again against Sony. The real takeaway from this short look back at this game is that Killzone Shadowfall was a pretty good launch title that gave PS4 owners a great game to play during the post-launch drought. Would it have done as well outside of the launch window? That's up to speculation, but I would say that it still would have done well, but critics would have been way less forgiving of the lacking narrative, somewhat shaky frame rate, and the occasional unclear objective markers. I still think it's an awesome game though, and I want to know what you think. Do you like Killzone Shadowfall? Are you excited for Horizon Zero Dawn? Let me know in the comments section below. Also, if you like this video, feel free to hit that subscribe button for more videos from the TZR team. Thanks for watching everyone, this is Dave, signing out.